Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. I forgot to turn on my camera and I'm sitting here going, what is going on? Where am I? And I'm like, I forgot to turn on my camera. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. That's a first, right? First, the perils of doing things live. So, welcome to Massive Iron Live, the longest running live lifting podcast Q&A in the history of the universe. That's my claim, and it might not be true, but yeah, we'll run with it, right? How you guys doing? It is Friday, December 13th. You have 12 days till Santa Claus is going to be here, so you have a few days to clean up your act. Maybe you'll get something other than a lump of coal. How you guys doing? You guys have a good week? I had pretty good chest workout this week. I was really happy with that. I need to get my back workout in. Things have been going really, really well for me, other than the fact that it's freezing down here. So training is going well. Hope you guys are doing good. If you are new here, please don't hesitate to post up your questions. I answer every question. I'll stay on as long as you guys have questions. And don't feel like if a question's been asked 1,000 times before that you can't ask it. Please, please don't hesitate to ask anything, diet, training, nutrition, off topic, as long as it's reasonable. If your question does not go through, that's not me censoring you. That is not me throttling you. It's just the weird, wacky YouTube. So if your question doesn't go through, try shortening it. You can also try rewording it. Sometimes if you use a word that the magic YouTube doesn't like, it'll limit your question. Also, you can follow me over on Instagram at Ben the Barman. If you are a little late to the party and you need help, don't hesitate to post up your questions there. So how you guys doing? How was your week? How was your social media fitness week? Did you run into any interesting videos, topics, comments, subjects on YouTube or Instagram by the YouTube celeries or the fitness influencers? It seems like every time I go into my inbox, I'm getting questions or comments or referral videos about wacky things that go on in Instagram and social media fitness. I wish I could keep up with them. I mean, honestly, sometimes I'd love to do a weekly recap show of this week in dumb fuckery. Excuse my swearing, but that's kind of how I feel. So we will dive into things. Before we do so, just a brief commercial. Don't go anywhere. I do. If you guys need some last minute Santa gifts, please head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. I do have some specials. I know Black Friday is long gone, but I still got the specials up on my website through the end, actually through January 6th. And I want to talk about something really, really quick because this is super important. For those of you guys that want to, guys, girls, whatever, I say guys, don't hold it against me, don't cancel me. For those of you folks that want to do something, really start the year off super fast, just to start off the year on a good note. I don't know, was it 5 years ago I came up with something called the 10-100 program. And it's on my website, but I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. We're going to actually start running it, I believe, on January 6th. If anybody wants to join me, it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, Monday, January 6th. We're going to start running it as a group. I have a Team Massive on Discord. You can join us there. You don't have to join us at all. You can just partake in the 10-100. I'm going to kind of modernize it a little bit. It's something I haven't looked at in quite a while. The thing about the 10-100 is you have 10 different challenges that you have to stick to for 100 days, okay? 10 challenges for 100 days. And Only one person has ever completed it. I got to like day 40 and I don't recall what happened. But, you know, things just went to heck. But that's what happened. So if any of you guys are interested, we can do the 10-100. The old version, I think, is still on my website. If we search 10-100, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, you can buy it. I'm going to update it this week and drop the price a little bit. Anybody that wants to get in, you don't have to buy it. You know, we'll go over the challenges, but there's 10 challenges over the course of 100 days. And basically, some of the challenges include a calorie ceiling, getting in a certain number of steps every day, sticking to only animal and plant-based foods, no processed foods, no alcohol, stuff like that. So it's a really hardcore dive in to the new year. So I will keep you guys updated. I'll be making a video about that. All right, real quick. There's still some Black Friday stuff going on over here. This is my website, superlivingtoday.com. And real quick, coaching. I still have the coaching $7.99 yearly special available. That'll be available until early January. I'm not sure when. I've had a lot of people hop on this. Usually I get a lot of my existing clients hop on this. If you are an existing client or a new client and you want to save a lot of money and get some decent assistance, you'll save about $333 over yearly coaching, and that's only $7.99 a month or $79.99 a year. If you think about it, that's quite a savings. Regular coaching is only $89.40 after the first setup month for the rest of your life. Services, we have a custom workout. This is my most popular service. You can go over the services tab, click custom workout. It's only $39.99. This is a really good deal. And if you want a phone consultation, that's down $69.99 as well. Massive Omnibus. Each book is only $14.99, or you can buy all of them for $99. And apparel, we can just click on apparel real quick. If you let's go new to old. We got some new hats over here. Some of the guys from Team Massive have ordered the hats, some of the guys and girls, and they're looking great, embroidered, really quality stuff. And we got some other fun stuff for the new year, like the Trend Days of Christmas t-shirt, if you want a festive t-shirt about trembling. So anyway, let's get on with the show, shall we? Let's get on with the questions. All right, where are we at? All right, Rico. Good morning, Rico. Glad to have you here. And welcome aboard. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. We're just checking up on the questions in advance. What science-based program are you putting together this week? I think I'm going to do a live video, or not live, but I think I'm going to build one of the programs I've been putting out, or one of the splits I've been giving out recently, is an upper posterior full body. So basically it's kind of a split for those people that don't have a lot of time and want to work out 3 days a week. You have your upper workout, you have your posterior workout. Upper is chest, shoulder, arms. Posterior is legs and back. And then the full body would be a little bit more milder of a full body day. So I think this week I'm going to build one of those on YouTube. If you're interested in just checking it out, you might not have any interest in running it at all, but I'll be building one of those live during a video this week. Harris, how's it going, Harris? Happy weekend to you as well. First ever bulk completed, mission accomplished. Nice work. Last month of it was not good due to lack of training, but the weight gain was on track. Good. Thank you for giving me this confidence. You're welcome. I appreciate you being part of the Discord community, and I appreciate you trusting in me and trusting in the process. And congratulations, man. Just keep the train rolling. That's what it's all about. Ice cold Tristan. How's it going, Tristan? Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday the 13th, by the way, all you weirdos and creeps and freaks. Happy Friday the 13th. I was actually born on Friday the 13th in 1967. That's really old, right? Really old. I was born on Friday the 13th, 1967. So I claim it as my good luck day. And if, I've never had anything bad happen on Friday the 13th, knock on wood. Let's hope we continue that tradition. Big Lee, how's it going, Big Lee? Oops, let me forward this up here. Managed a 60 kilo behind the neck press. Nice work. Yeah, that's very good. I mean, most people struggle to get to 60 kilos on the regular military press. So to get that on a BTN is a really, really good achievement. I think the first level that, of really having your overhead presses come around is getting 60 kilos. I know that doesn't perfectly equate in freedom, 132.277 freedom units, but it is pretty close to 135. That's the gold standard first quality level that I want to see everybody get to. So nice work. And it's a BTN. Blaine, how's it going, Blaine? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everything, Coach. I'm running upper posterior with junk, which I really like. Good. When should I include the junk there? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. The only thing is, after a junk day, you need a rest day. So doesn't matter how you slice and dice it. You do need a rest day after the junk day so your arms are fresh. For those of you that don't know what a junk day is, in the massive iron world, it is basically, most of the times it's what we call an optional training day where you fill in any junk you couldn't get in during the week or extra arm work. It can be hard to cram in everything during the week. So a junk day, you might be able to get in a little extra arm work, some calves, some abs, some rear delts, some front delts, some trapezoids, whatever you want. Does that make sense? Shelly Turner, happy live client of mine. Happy live team massive. Happy live day. Remember to finish strong, or at least finish, or at least show up. That's absolutely right. Showing up is 99.27% of the battle. Completing the first set is 94.73% of the battle. Big Billy Baker, client of mine. Happy Friday the 13th. Chit, ha, ha. Right, Jason? Happy Friday the 13th. Is that how it goes? Zero option. Stop your grinning and drop your linen. Massive iron starts now. One of the best lines in that movie, man. That movie Aliens 2 has some of the best lines in the history of cinema. Fight me. I'm going to die on that mountain, right? Zero option. Happy Friday. Greetings from Birmingham, UK. Greetings. Hope you have a good weekend. Let me get a drink here. Today, Massive Iron Live is sponsored by, well, it looks kind of black. It's actually a purple Monster. Not actually sponsored. Just joking. Barbell Beauty, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Good morning, Steve. Assuming I'm cutting properly, how different will my workouts feel? Well, everybody's kind of unique in that sense, so there's no cookie cutter answer, and I'd be lying to you if I said there was. But some folks feel a lot of stress and strain and terror on their presses. They feel a little bit weak. You're going to have less glycogen in your muscles. You might just feel flatter. Usually the first couple of days of a cut aren't going to be the funnest adventure because all kinds of wacky things are readjusting. I find the stronger you get, the more experienced you get, the more used to training you get, generally the more normal things feel on a cut. And that's a generalization, but I find that like somebody that's been with the iron game a long time, 5 to 10 years, they don't really notice much of a drop off on a cut in energy, performance, etc. Again, a generalization, but really hard to say. It's going to be different for everybody. The only thing I can say is, number one, don't worry about losing muscle. That's a huge myth and way overblown. You're not really going to lose muscle during a cut. You're just going to feel flatter. I mean, the only way you're going to lose muscle is if you stop training and just starve yourself for like 2 to 3 weeks. Then you're going to lose muscle. Even if you did lose a couple ounces of muscle, it'll come back, immediately once you get back on the bulk train strength. You might lose a few reps from feeling flat, having less glycogen, et cetera, but that always comes back, and it comes back better than ever when you return to the bulking process. So focus on safe training, focus on smart training. When you're in the gym and you feel like you can't do 3 sets per exercise, or you can only do 2, I want you guys to understand on a cut that's okay, because it's very easy to maintain muscle mass. One of the things I've learned over the years is that it is super easy to maintain muscle mass. Like an object in motion tends to stay in motion. It doesn't take much to keep it in motion. It's basically, to dumb things down, the same with muscle building. Once you get the muscle, you don't really have to do a lot of crazy training. You don't really have to do much training at all to keep it. Just something minimal and reasonable. And during a cut, it's really not that much different. You don't want to do anything radical, but you can back down volume a little bit if you need to, and you'll be perfectly fine. Carl's Lifting, hello. Thanks for tuning in. And Big Ernie Peterson, a client of mine. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Steve, I'm new to deadlifting. Let's see. I just wanted to see if we had a follow-up comment here. Here it is. Sorry, I'm new to deadlifting. I find that I'm sore for 4 days. Yep, that's pretty normal. Is deadlifting twice? No, don't do it. Don't deadlift twice a week. None of you ever. Don't do it unless you're super experienced with your deadlifts and your form is locked down. Even then, not a big fan. Do not deadlift twice a week. You need to get your form videos to me so I can critique it, make sure you're on track. I find that I'm sore for 4 days after. Don't use that time for a big back exercise, dumbbell rows, seated cable rows, pull-ups. Don't deadlift twice a week. Don't ever do that. Other than extreme cases where you're running some radical specialization program, don't even ever think about deadlifting twice a week. Ice Cold Tristan, what are your thoughts on having adequate rest times between sets? Well, we want to service hard training. What are we in the gym for? We're in the gym to get gains, right? Muscle and strength gains. What is our prime directive? Training hard, harder than last time. Train hard, train hard. If you don't train hard, you're basically wasting sets. In the massive iron world, I have taught you want to do everything you can to maximize the next set. Because if you can maximize most sets during a workout, you're going to maximize that workout. And if you're maximizing the workout, you're going to maximize the muscle building process. So our goal, we don't have to be perfect. We can be 80%, 100% of the time. No one's perfect. No one's a machine or a robot or a cyborg. But you want to keep that focus on hard training. That is the prime directive. Rest, don't overthink rest. You can keep a structured rest if you want, but we want to make sure we're physically and mentally ready to go to attack the next set. We want our heart rate back down a little bit. We want to feel ready mentally to be able to focus on form, and we physically want to feel like we're ready to go. That is what we need to do when it comes to rest. Now, there are exceptions when we do rest pause work, but we still give ourselves a 15 to 20 second break to maybe let any cardiovascular strain rescind a little bit. And then we allow a little bit of the, stress in the muscles. I'm having a brain fart here. The buildup in the muscles. So what do they call it? I've only mentioned it a million times, but we're allowing the muscles to just slightly get a break, and then we're attacking again. But that's okay in the context of rest pause. During your regular workout, if you're trying to breeze, just ram through things and restrict reps to get in sets, that's probably not the best way to go. If you are short on time, you're probably better off, not probably, you're better off cutting a set for each exercise and focusing on maximizing those sets, if that makes sense. According to your sweatshirt, it looks like you're a cheesehead. That is correct. I am born and raised in Wisconsin. Are you still in Wisconsin? No, I live in Ohio in a city called Wilmington. Now, curious thing, Northern Illinois, we won't hold that against you if you're a Bears fan. Just kidding. But seriously, I live in a city called Wilmington, Ohio. We just moved here and built a house in this small town. And I want to tell you something curious. If you want to see my town, if you have Hulu, okay, there's a movie called Nutcrackers. Ben Stiller was here last year about this time filming this movie in downtown. It's all filmed here, Nutcrackers. The dance studio is here in town, and he's here in the buildings in town and on Main Street. Not a big city. When Ben Stiller is filming, it pretty much shuts half the city down. But if you want to have a fun little family movie, and that's seasonal in nature, and you want to see my little town of Wilmington, Ohio, watch Nutcrackers. It's on Hulu with Ben Stiller. Big Lee, please do the weekly recap show. I wish I had time. One thing I'd appreciate from you guys is if you could DM me on Instagram or just anything interesting you find, wacky things that fitness influencers say, like lunges have no value or aren't a good exercise, or the soup of the day, the nonsense of the day, the confusion of the day, the distraction of the day, or just something plain old stupid. So I wish I had the time to do that. My client schedule is coaching is what I do for a living. So I get into office. I might do a day in the life sometime to show you guys what I do. Like, who cares, right? But I get into office about 8 to 8:15, depending on the day and how the dogs are doing, etc. And I start right away. I say hello to Team Massive on Discord, post up the topic of the day, check my Instagram DMs. What I usually do in the morning is handle my Instagram DMs and check out the Team Massive Discord stuff, do form checks, answer questions, and then I get on with coaching stuff. And from basically about 9:30 to 10 until 7 to 7:30 at night, I'm doing nonstop coaching stuff. So I really have a hard time doing anything other than that. If I squeeze in a YouTube video, it really pushes me back. But I love doing that as well, so I have to do that. On Saturdays, I do client workouts and custom workouts Saturday and Sunday morning and try to squeeze in YouTube videos. So I'm literally working 7 days a week. To say that I work a minimum of 70 hours a week would be an understatement. All right. All right, we got that one. Sorry. Adonis. How's it going, Adonis? Let me just scroll down here. Good morning, big, hairy, ugly dude. Finished this year with a 1 rep max, 110 kilo bench, 125 kilo squat, and deadlift. What tough but possible goal should I aim for? Good question. Number one, the big goal is to nail your bulks and cuts. I don't know anything about you, but I will say in the new year, let's maximize the nutrition side of things, nail those bulks and cuts so we can facilitate muscle and strength building gains. You probably want to aim for, your bench is pretty good. So, I don't know, 15 kilos would be a good minimum goal. Let me just turn that into freedom units. And let's see. 125 kilos would be 275. That would be a wonderful bench in the next year. 125 squat, you're at about 275 pounds. I would aim for like 345 pounds, which would be about 155 kilos. And let's see, your deadlift is 160 kilos, which is really good. I would try to aim for at least 185. Now, those don't seem like big goals, but where you're at, that's good, consistent, solid progress. And if you make that type of progress year in and year out over the course of the coming years, you're going to end up pretty impressively strong. Always know the further down the road you get, the harder it is to travel. So keep your head up and don't get frustrated if things feel slow. Let's see. Wesley, I have been training my son for his football. It's off season. I'm trying to get bench back up. It's down day, 15%. I'm running on the Russian bench program. If you don't rule out my 5, 10, 10, 20 program. You know, if you need something, I'm not saying the Russian bench is whatever. I'm just saying if you need a change, or if it starts to beat them up, you know, don't hesitate to try the 5, 10, 10, 20, because it's a really, really good program. And a lot of guys have seen wonderful, wonderful results on that program. So good luck to them. I'm trying to search for something here for an upcoming question, so just give me a second. But keep that program in the back of your mind, because it's a good program to throw in the mix. Pretty much everyone that's run the 5, 10, 10, 20 has gotten decent results out of it, you know, in 3 to 4 months. So I think I got it. All right, so I'm going to skip forward to something here. Client of mine, question for clarification on deadlifting more than once a week. I know it's a topic people have looked at, certain programs you've prescribed. Let's see. Question for deadlifting more than once a week. I'm missing something here. Let's see. Wait. You have the wife on I don't have her on a two day a week, just for clarification. I'm going to pull it up. This is his wife's program, and she is a client of mine. And let's see. Let me just pull it off here. See if we can still see it. There we go. All right. So the program is, let me widen it here. This is her program, week 1 and week 2 deadlift cycle. So week 1 and then week 2. So you have a deadlift cycle and a deficit cycle. Week 1 is regular deadlifts, and week 2 is a deficit cycle. So week 1, there's 2 weeks, 2 waves. So you do a week 1, you do, this should say workout A or workout 1. And you cycle between workout 1 and workout 2. And I haven't seen her workouts this week, so I wasn't sure what she was doing because she got injured. But it's basically a 4-week cycle. You have 2-week waves. So week 1 is the deadlift cycle, okay? So that's this. And you have workout 1 and 2. So basically, you do this week 1, and then week 2, you do the deficit cycle, this. And then you come back to this week 1, and then you do workout 2 of week 1. So it's basically a 4-week cycle. Sorry for any confusion. I'm going to have to message her later and make sure she is on track, if that makes sense. That's under Brandy's. Oh, it is yours, darn it. Sorry. I don't know how yours ended up in hers. Thanks. Good call. Yeah, I guess I do have deadlifts under hers twice. How did I end up doing that? I'm going to have to take a look. I might have just missed removing that and didn't notice that. So I'll message her because she does have stiff leg deadlifts on the second day. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I got to take a look at that because I didn't realize I had that in there. I don't ever program that twice in a week. So it looks like I just screwed that up and didn't even notice it. So I'm glad you guys pointed that out. All right, where are we? Milan, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Wesley, different programs you might suggest. Head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, and check out the workout collection or the massive collection. You can just go to the search engine and at my website, Super Living Today, the search box and search collection. It has like 350 pages of workouts, huge collection. You can also go to the Omnibus tab, and the Omnibus has at least 8 books right now. They're 300 pages, 2,400 pages, just jam-packed with programs. Between the workout collection and the massive Omnibus, it'll give you so much information. I mean, I can't even begin to describe how much information. You have nearly 2,800, almost 3,000 pages of information, and none of it's filler. It's all tips and workouts and pretty much every program I've ever used. On this channel, if you guys are ever looking for a workout, there's tons of free stuff here. Please join my community. I'd be glad to help you find one. It's hard to blanketly just toss out a workout to somebody without knowing what they want to do, what their goals are, what their experience level is, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to say, I apologize. Putting together these workouts, sometimes what I do is I take these, obviously I don't create a table every time I'm going to, do a new workout. So when I have a new workout, I will take the old workout from the client and make a copy in Google Docs. And then I start deciding how we're going to piece things together. And somehow with her workout, I left 2 days of deadlifting in a week, which was a complete oversight. What I do from there, for you guys curious, is I upload those into my coaching app. And I don't really look at them again. I just look at the client's workout report. So my mistake. That's not a good mistake, so I apologize. Where are we? Son of the North. Hello from Wales. Good to have you here. Appreciate it. Big Joseph Rodriguez. How's it going, Big Joe? Thanks for tuning in. Big Jimmy Cooksworth. On days where I have extra time and feel good, feeling very nice, we do extra work beyond the program. How help? Well, it depends on if they're focused. You can do a finisher at the end. You can do extra work as long as it's not impeding or causing an issue with your next workout. Does that make sense? So just log what you do and let me know, what the extra stuff was. And if it's wrong, if it's misguided, I'll let you know, like you shouldn't do this. That's okay, etc. Just live to fight another day. Be safe, be sane. Don't get yourself hurt. Steve, I'm currently doing incline dumbbell chest press followed by slight decline dumbbell. Yeah, absolutely okay. 2 big hitters, get after it. Yeah, good variation. Absolutely okay. You don't have to drop weight. Just make sure you have a progression approach for each one. You're chasing progression. Don't worry about relative weight, what you're using for one, what you're using for the other. Just get in and attack safely. Jared, been doing 5, 10, 10, 20 twice per week, then once with close grips. Yeah, I mean, I've never had anybody do that before. I'm not saying you couldn't. As long as the soreness is reasonable, let it rip, right? Milan, question, are hammer curls worth doing for brachialis muscle if I hit it while with rows? Yeah, I mean, you always want to do some arm work. You're going to, with your rows and with your bench, you're going to hit, with all of those, you're going to hit your arms, you're going to hit your forearms, you're going to hit your delts. We still need to do well-rounded isolation or more focused stuff for our arms. Absolutely. I would recommend for biceps and minimum 2 exercises per week. You could alternate some of them A-B, so you could do seated incline dumbbell curls and then easy bar curls, so 2 exercises per week. And you could have an A-B split where you do seated incline dumbbell curls one week and hammer curls the next. So working in a little variation. Absolutely. Big Joseph, down from 287, down to 287 from 305 today, starting in September. Thanks, Coach. Absolutely amazing work. And that is not easy. 18 pounds is never easy, and that's a big jump. I'm super proud of you. It's wonderful to see as a coach. All I do is tune in every day and make sure you're on track. You're doing all the hard work. So nice job. Also, is doing seated overhead shoulder press twice a week too much? No. It all depends on the bigger picture, how the program looks from a weekly standpoint. I would say it's probably not a bad idea to get in some variety, maybe an Arnold press on the second day or something like that. But if you want me to look at your program, I'd be happy to do so. Let me get a drink real quick. Have you ever done tier lists? Yes. And real quick, while we're on the subject, let me just specifically tune in to my channel and see how many tier lists I have done. Let me just mute things. Hold on one second. We're going to go over to the old YouTube and just give me one moment. We'll make this screen share a little bit bigger. All right, present, share screen, whamma jamma, there it is. So we're going to go over this little search thing and we're going to search tier. And let's see. If you search tier, we get massive muscle building tier list, 20 variables ranked. That's a pretty decent video where I look at 20 different variables involved with muscle building, and I tell you my tier list, which is more important, volume, training to failure. I'm actually surprised that that video only has 2,500 views. It's pretty detailed and pretty in-depth. But, you know, that's YouTube. I have big arms tier list. The best and the worst. So I rank my favorite arms exercises. Do I have any other tier lists? No, I guess not. I guess I need to get on the old tier list train and do a few more. If you guys have any suggestions for what you'd like me to do, let me know. I'd be happy to do them. The feedback that you've given to my overhead press form check was helpful. Really glad to hear that. The last time I got form checked on my overhead was from someone who told me that there should be no movement in the lower back. That's awful advice. And I don't mean any disrespect to that person, but that person doesn't understand the nature of an overhead. And thanks, Zero. I'm going to explain to you why. Somebody that says there's no movement in the lower back on an overhead press doesn't understand the mechanics of the lift. So the key thing on any overhead press, seated, standing, military push press, whatever, is your wrists stay over your elbows. Okay, wrists stay over your elbows. If your wrists are forward of your elbows, the weight's going to fall forward, and you're going to have to pull back like this, and you're going to get this really weird internal, external shoulder rotation stress. Bad deal. Okay. Way under, it's going to feel awkward. You're going to get that external shoulder rotation. So wrists have to stay over the elbows. Now, if you're standing, you're just standing like this, obvious, your palms, your hands are in front of your body. Okay, late breaking news, right? Your hands are in front of your body. I know that's shocking news, right? But they are. So when your hands are here on a seated or standing overhead press, what's happening? Let me remove this just for a second. What's happening? You can see your wrists are forward of your elbows. What's occurring? You're placing really weird stresses on your shoulder press, and you can't get good quality leverage, and you're going to get crappy sets. So what do we have to do on a standing press? We have to lean back slightly to get our wrists over our elbows. That's the basic physics and mechanics of the lift. You can't do the lift without leaning back a little bit. It's just to whatever degree you have to do that, and it's not a bad thing. It is a good thing. You can't stand upright with your wrists forward of your elbows and press. No one presses like this with their wrists in front of their elbows. They have to press like this, leaning back. Also, because you have a big fat watermelon head, you have to lean back so you don't push the bar in your big fat watermelon head, right? So if anybody says that your lower back can't bend, arch, whatever during a sorry, I got hair in my mouth, during an overhead press, they're just asking for you to smack the bar in your big fat watermelon head. So you got to lean back. You got to get your wrists over your elbows, press up, and this allows you to get the bar and past your head without smacking your jaw. On a seated press, you will have people say, you can't, the seat back has to be at 90 degrees and you shouldn't angle it backwards. And they'll get all paranoid that slight shift places some additional minor stress on the front delts. Who cares? It's still hammering the living snot bubble out of your side delts. But the reason why you need to angle the seat back on the seated overhead press is because if you're perfectly upright, you're in that same position. Your wrists are forward of your elbows. There's no leverage. It's just all shoulder stress. So to accommodate that, because we're not standing, we put the seat back a little bit so we can get our wrists over our elbows and get in a proper biomechanical position, a good leverage position that's not straining the shoulders in a bad way. Also, when we lean back, if we're leaning forward and we try, or if we have our seat back upright and we're pressing, we're going to press the bar into our big fat watermelon head. So we have to lean back so we can press around. One thing if you watch seated overhead presses from the side, if someone doesn't have the seat back far enough, when they press, you can kind of watch the bar path move a little bit forward and then up. They don't do this on purpose, but they do this to bypass their big fat watermelon head. And all this ends up doing is placing stress on your shoulders. I hope that makes sense. That's a basic master class in the biomechanics and the setting up for proper leverage in the military press and the seated overhead press. Some people get worried because of misguided influencers that it's going to place a minor degree of extra stress on your front delts. Who cares? It's still hitting your side delts hard. It really, really is. My side delts are one of my strongest muscle groups, and I have relied relentlessly on overhead press variations. You get some people in this lifting world who are like, you shouldn't do, that's not how they talk. That's how I talk, talking like them. You shouldn't do overhead presses because it hits your front delts, and you should just do side lateral raises, which have no progression opportunity whatsoever. And they completely ignore progressive overload, and they're okay. But anyway, using their logic, if you shouldn't do the overhead press because it involves some front delt, you shouldn't do bench press because it involves more front delt. I'm just using their logic, because pressing overhead is really going to hit your side delts. I can feel it working right here. Just put your hand on the side delt, press up. You can feel it working. I can feel my front delt working, not as intensely, but I can feel my side delt working, because that action, even though the elbow is a little bit in front of the of the shoulder, the side of the shoulder, it's still hit with a crazy degree of intensity. Yes, the front delt is hit to a minor degree, but when you move to a bench press, the front delt's hit more than the side delt. You can feel it. So if we want to use the insane, wacky, misguided logic that you shouldn't do overhead presses because they hit their compound movement and they hit the front delts to a slight degree, then we should just stop doing bench press as well. We should stop doing all presses as well because our little influencer brains can't handle the compound nature of compound movement. So I hope that helps some. Am I risking injuring the lower back? However, no, we covered everything. I hope it's been a help. Just let me know if you guys have any follow-up questions. Adonis went from 100 to 110 kilos on the bench following one of your percentage plans in 3 months. That's really good progress at your level for 3 months. Good luck, man. Just keep me updated. Gamboni Law, is there a target weight, body fat, that you would like to maintain year-round? There are some people that can maintain 9 to 10%, but I would call them freaks. I don't like arbitrary, so everyone's going to be different. The key thing for strength is going to be remaining in a proper bulk most of the year. You can do the 10-pound bulks. You can go up to the 15-pound bulks, but there's going to be some fluctuation. If there's not, you're probably not putting yourself in the position to maximize the muscle and strength building process. Can junk day also be done at home? Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You got a few weights lying around at home. You could do some ab work. You could do some cab work. You do some whatever arm work you have. Dumbbell skull crushers, dumbbell kickbacks. You can do the Tate press, which is like this with dumbbells. And obviously, with dumbbells, you can do dumbbell bicep work. If you don't have dumbbells, you just have a barbell. You can do the JM press. You can do barbell curls, all kinds of stuff you can get yourself in trouble with. Can any of your 4-day frequency programs be done? Oh, all of them, man. I design all of them to be flexible. Flexibility is one of the cornerstones of how I program. I don't like to staple things to a specific day. Excuse me. I don't like to staple things to a specific day because that's not reality for most people. Most people, they have something called a life, right? You get up, everything's smooth, running smooth. It's Monday morning. You want a perfect life. Your meal is planned. Your meals are planned. Your gym bag's packed. And something happens, right? Something happens. You're flat tire. Your boss is being whatever. Girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Stuff comes up, right? Mom's calling you. Somebody's calling you. Somebody's bothering you. Somebody's pulling you into drama. Whatever it is. You own a home, you got to study, you got stuff coming up. We live in the massive iron world. One of the big things I teach and I structure for my clients is flexibility. My 4-day programs usually have like upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B, and you cycle between those 4 workouts, inserting rest days where you need. Like the torso limbs, which is another 4-day variation, you just simply cycle between the 4 workouts. Ultimately, you can do them 3 days a week. You can do them every other day. You can do them 4 days a week, whatever works. You can have some variability. So you could train 3 days a week, 1 week, and then the next week 4, and the next week 5. It doesn't really matter as long as consistency is there. So, you can absolutely be flexible. Absolutely. Let me know if you have any further questions on that. Michael, do I need to train my abs? I don't. I've done about 10.3 sets of abs over the course of my life. No, honestly, I mean, if I think about it, I have probably done less than 100 sets of abs in 38 years of training. The thing is, like, if you think about your weekly schedule, I'm not against ab training, but I want to toss this out there because we need to think in terms of this. If you think about your weekly schedule, okay, I only have so many days a week to train. If you do 18 hard sets a day, it's about 75 minutes in the gym. So let's say you have 3 days to train a week. That's going to be about 54 hard sets, give or take. We're just estimating. So once you do all your chesticles and your back and your quads and your delts and your arms and your stuff and maybe a little trap work, whatever you want, there's not a lot of time left. So then you got to ask yourself, do I want to do rear delts? Do I want to do traps? Do I want to do abs? Do I want to do calves? Do I want to do neck? Do I want to do forearms? Do I want to do all this little stuff? So you have we want to place the majority of the pressure or stress on the bigger areas, right? Because they make us big. And then all the peripheral areas like abs and extra side delt work or extra rear delt work and calf work, that's an individual thing. And we're not all bodybuilders, so we don't have to cram everything in equally. So no, you don't have to train abs. A little bit can go a long way. Just maintaining core stability with like an ab wheel roller, even things like cable crunches, hanging knee raise, decline sit-ups, stuff like that. But I don't feel like I have a core weakness. Obviously, on my deadlift competition record speaks for itself. I'm not the strongest man in the world, but I've executed very strong deadlifts, and I never felt like my core was a weak point in all of that. So, yeah, you don't have to, but it might not be a bad thing to get in a little bit. Thanks for the answer. I just finished week 1 of the cut, and my energy isn't as crappy as it good. I'm glad to hear that. Just be safe and smart. The prime directive is always to live to fight another day. Bread and Gatorade. We're going all carbs today. My shoulder's too far forward on deadlifts. Tips on getting them back. One of the things you see when you analyze a deadlift from the side, you want to see if this is the center of the bar, okay? And this is the center of the shoulder. You don't want to see the center of the shoulder over the center of the bar because then your hips are seated too low. If the center of the shoulder is way too forward or the center of the bar, when you pull, you're in a poor leverage position and your hips are going to fly up. So you want to see the center of the shoulder just a hair in front of the center of the bar. From there, you focus on driving your shoulder straight up. The only tip is to film and work on things. What you often see on a deadlift is people rush through their deadlift. You have to be very deliberate with your deadlifts, okay? Very deliberate. Don't just sink your hips and pull like a gorilla. Sink your hips, get them in a good leverage position, take a big breath, brace your core, make sure everything feels good, get your head as far away from the bar as you can, and then think about driving your shoulders straight up towards the ceiling, standing up. Don't think about pulling on the bar. Think about driving your shoulders straight up. That'll help you keep your hips locked in place. What are your top exercises for upper traps? Upper traps, and I'm glad you differentiated between upper traps and mid traps because the traps are a very complicated muscle group. I made a really good video on traps maybe last year, early this year, where I discussed the difference because there was an influencer, a guru, a celery that said basically shrugs don't do crap for traps. And like, hello, you're wrong. And he just wanted you to do kind of the rowy stuff for the mid traps. The traps start at the mid back, and that's kind of the center part of the traps. And then you have the top traps, which are by the neck and the big mountain peaks right here. So obviously power shrugs are key. I have something called bulldozer shrugs. If you can't find those, search my channel for bulldozer shrugs. or traps. In fact, homework for each of you, go to my channel and search traps, and you will find a wealth of information because I am obsessed with traps. So let me just pull it up because we like to do that sort of stuff. I like to actually show you guys what we're getting into. This is going to give you more information than I could in 2 minutes. So you go over the main page and you search traps. And this is a video I made 10 months ago that has a lot of information about building the traps. Here's one called the 5x5 method. 3 ugly truths about building big traps. A very convenient way to train your traps. The real key to big traps. 5 laws of brutality. 3 ways to build bigger traps. My best tips for bigger traps. Traps hell. 6 traps building tools. Okay, really good information. This is super old, 11 years ago. How to build massive traps with shruggies and deadlifts. Big traps and delts. How to destroy your traps while deadlifting. Power shrug hell. Try power shrug hell. 5 trap exercises. I've been doing this for 12 years, my friends, and 50 rep power shrug finisher. There's a whole book in here on traps, a whole book on traps. And I have a whole series, part 2, deadlift and traps, the destroyer combo, part 3, deadlift and traps, the dumbbell duo. 3 keys to monster traps, part 4, 100 rep hell. Massive traps. Good grief. Think I had nothing better to do but make YouTube videos about traps. How to unbleep your trap bar deadlift. And power shrugs are a waste of time. Power shrug 33s. I didn't even realize how much information I have on traps in here. It is a book. You can find all this information in my series, Massive Omnibus. Running upper, lower, off. Push-pull legs off. I'm planning on including very light submaximal squats for technique work. That's fine because you have a day between pull and legs. You're only overdoing it if you're trying to go too heavy. Technique work should be with pretty moderate, nothing that's going to cause soreness or recovery time, if that makes sense. The legend of Mr. D. How's it going? Thanks for tuning in. 0 option. You feel extra powerful and strong in the gym one day. Stick with the program or do some extra sets. Sometimes I'll throw in an extra exercise at the end. You just have to make sure what you do isn't going to cause an issue for the following day's workout, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing next, you're able to recover. Just be safe and smart. Don't do anything crazy. Don't get yourself injured, but you can always do a little bit of extra work. That's part of the process we call evolving training based on needs. People often ask me what that means, and it's one of the pillars of success in the massive iron world. What is evolve training based on needs? Well, here's an example. 0 option is in the gym and says, South, I have a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra energy. And you learn and you evolve and you decide on these days, I'm going to do this. Okay. All part of the deal, all part of evolving your program. Big Josh, what's up? Got the hoodie. Glad to hear it, Josh. Send me a picture when you can. Milan, just to verify it regarding the deadlift question, Monday conventional, Thursday, oh, that's normal. Romanian doesn't hit. You can do that. Romanian doesn't hit the same areas, okay? So a Romanian deadlift is going to hit the lower back and hamstrings, where a conventional deadlift, because you're pulling off the floor, is going to put more stress on the traps and upper back. That's okay. Big Josh, have you ever messed with good mornings? Let's take a trip down the lane of memories, shall we? I'm going to go to my YouTube studio, which has all the information. I have a lot of videos on here that, let's see, I got a video. I just want to make sure it's not a crappy one. Not a crappy one because I haven't looked at it forever. Yeah, I've done a lot of good mornings around 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. I would do squats, and then I like doing wide stance, good mornings, pushing your glutes back like an RDL. I have a video about proper good morning form, and I don't know if I ever actually get around to doing, to doing them. Let me just pull it up. I'll present. Da, 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 da. What do we got here? There's me back in the second dungeon gym. We'll turn that down. Ain't nobody want to listen to me. My little pooch belly. Let's see if I'm going to do a good morning here. I use a buffalo bar, a little wider grip. Okay, so I get a little bit wider stance. And you're going to focus on pushing the glutes back. You should see the bar come a little bit forward of the center of the body. Wide stance. Push the glutes back below the hamstrings. Stop talking. Just do it, you ugly son of a gun. Look, I have hair there. Believe it or not, I'm not bald. I shave it. Okay. I push the glutes back. Push the glutes back and keep the lower back tight. Yeah, I've done a lot of good mornings over the years, primarily between 2007 and like 2012. Just work it like an RDL. I'm using 1/3 of the weight of my RDL. Yeah, get used to it. Get a video if you need, Josh. Start slow. It's a lift where you don't want to get lower back looseness. So, let's see. I feel like last year I feel like next year I should get my SG deadlift, front squats, and Z press stronger since they are my weakest lifts. That's reasonable. That's part of the process. Front squats are going to be always a lot weaker than your regular squats unless you're superhuman and have a bulletproof back. Z press is going to be weaker than your overhead press just because it's, harder to get any bracing and pressing. So that's definitely normal. Should I include upper trap work in my total? No. Separate those two because back we want to focus our back time. We want to focus on our back and lats, like dumbbell rows, barbell rows, seated cable rows, T-bar rows, machine rows, meadows rows, lat focused rows, lat pull downs, pull-ups, lat prayers, dumbbell pullovers, that sort of thing. That's the meat or the shield of the back. And then trap work is like extra, if that makes sense. All right. I need an opinion with clap push-ups, which is an explosive movement. How can I explode and go higher? I will tell you, yes, I've done them. Am I an expert on clap push-ups? No. I wish I had some magic words of encouragement, but I sincerely don't know beyond, doing them and losing a little bit of body weight. So that's something I would tell you to head over to YouTube and see if you can find something. I wish I had some information, but I don't. One thing on this channel is I'm never going to speak out of my lane. I'm never going to try to make crap up on something I have no idea about. How does 5, 10, 10, 20 work for bench? And are there any exercise? Yeah, you can do 5, 10, 10, 20 is going to really condition you from a volume standpoint and a muscular endurance standpoint and work to condition your central nervous system. Folks that have a stubborn bench, moving to really low rep work and really high rep work and conditioning the central nervous system is a good thing to try. This is one of the tools. You do your warm-up sets, and then you have a weight you can do about 20 reps with. And you do 4 total sets, 5 reps, rest, 10 reps, rest, 10 reps, rest, and then 20 reps. It's going to feel a little bit lighter when you do that second set, and then it's going to feel a little bit lighter and more manageable when you do that third set. And by the time you get to the final set, you're going to be rocking like a scalded squirrel. You're going to be just taking off. And when you get to 20 reps, then you add 5 pounds the next time. You can do it on overhead. On squats, we don't want to do it. On squats, you could do 4, 8, 8, 12, which is pretty common. Something you can do instead, because on squats, it would absolutely kill you. Can I send you my workout via Instagram? Yeah, absolutely. Just make sure it's in a format easy to read and all good. Jared says, smash that like button. Absolutely. Thank you. And Zero Option, thank you for watching that video. Started the BTN press, and I love the feel of it. What weight percentage should I be aiming for compared to a normal press? All right. So because we're pulling up old YouTube videos here, we're going to pull up a BTN press of mine. It should be comparable to your seated BTN press. Now, over the years, I've done everything and got everything strong just because I like lift. I love to lift. I love lifting. I love lifting weights. Okay. So with that said, I have gotten my seated overhead press front to 315 and my seated BTN press to 315. I found them to be equal. They might not be equal for everybody, but they'll probably be in the same ballpark. For those of you that are watching this channel and saying 315, he's probably a big fat liar. There are some people that do that. Like when you say things, they don't realize you have 3,500 videos on the channel. Any lift I mention, I have a video of. Other than my Pendley row 405, I did 405 by 5 reps on the Pendley row, and I don't have a video. That's the only thing I don't have a video of. This is Russ Pause BTN, 230 pounds. I do 3 reps, rack, rest briefly, do 3 reps, etc. So you can see I did 15 total reps with 230. I did work up to a 315. So let me just show you how I unrack things a little bit. This is how I used to do it in the ghetto style of the old dungeon. Get it about ear level and then lean back. So when you're doing the BTN press, I'll try to stop it at the appropriate spot. You want to get it down to about the top of the ear or a little bit lower if it feels natural. You can see my wrists are either over your elbows or just a hair inside. If your wrists are outside of your elbows, it's too wide, and it's going to place external stress, external shoulder rotation stress on your shoulders. And as long as your elbows get below your shoulders, like the angle from your shoulder to your elbow, you're in a good place. Getting a bar behind your head when you're a big fat potato head like me, not always easy. You can see I have to move my big fat watermelon head forward. Some people can go lower. If you can go lower and it doesn't bother you, go right ahead. But this is a really good exercise for the side delts. Here I rack at about 22 seconds. And let's see, it was about 22 seconds, 23. And then I unrack about 15 seconds later at 37. So I'm resting about 15 seconds in between sets. Any of my clients that say, you're torturing me with rest pause work, used to do a lot of it myself, cut in the dungeon gym. Everything was formulated in the old dungeon gym. Big Joe B, a client of mine, good morning, or now we're in the afternoon. Can you explain when cutting to not exceed? Okay, so let me pull up a 1 rep max calculator. Number one, let's not go heavy while we're cutting. What's the point? You want to do heavy weight with decreased glycogen. That sounds like a good way to kill yourself and get injured. Number one, that's why. Okay, so present, share screen. That's rule number one, Joe. You have lower glycogen, lower energy, and you're going to do a heavy weight, right? That's called That's called a good way to get injured. So let's say you are a super stud and you have a 300-pound bench. You can see I put 300 here. And that's your approximate 1 rep max. 87.5 would be about 5 reps. Okay, you can see this 4-6 range. 87.5 is going to be right in between here, about 5 reps. The reason why I toss out 87.5 is because I don't want you really doing sets lower than 5 reps on a cut. Your glycogen is depleted. Your energy is depleted. It's a good way to get injured. So you want to just make sure you're working in a rep range that's a little bit safer. Too many things can go wrong with heavy weight. And when you're in a cut and you have decreased focus, decreased glycogen, decreased energy, and all that happy horse shit, too many things can go wrong. So it's just dumb. It's just dumb. In the massive iron world, we use a technical term to call it dumb. Okay, so I hope that helps. In your opinion, what are some of the reasons I may not be improving reps in my sets? Well, you're not going to get a rep every set, every session. So the number one reason is you're normal. Okay. Let me pull this back up again. Let me pull the 1 rep max calculator up again, and let's go over this a little bit, okay? For those of you guys that are kind of new to the process. So let's say, I'll just pull this in. We'll do this. We'll do the thing. We'll do the thing. We'll present, share screen, and we'll share this one. Bada boom, bada bing. All right. So let's say you bench press 135 pounds for 1 rep. You're a noob. I'm not saying the gentleman asking the question is a noob. But I wish these ads would get out of here. Your 1 rep max is about 135. Let's say that's where you're starting. Okay. So you add, let's back down. Let's back this down a little bit to something a little bit more sensible. Sorry. Okay, let's say you do 115 for 7 reps, which is about 138 pounds. Good grief. We're getting Dachshund stuff, Lululemon stuff. So 115 by 7, and it's about 138. So you add a rep. Okay, you add a rep. Boom. You add a rep. Your 1 rep max went up 5 pounds. 5 pounds on a rep. That's the way it works. When you add a rep on your top set, it adds about 5 or more pounds to your 1 rep max. Next week, 2 weeks in a row, you add a rep. Boom. Your 1 rep max is up to 148 from 138 in 2 weeks. 10 pounds to your bench in 2 weeks. Okay. Hold on. Boom. 3 weeks in a row. Your bench is up 15 pounds in 3 weeks. Bench is up 15 pounds in 3 weeks. You're adding a rep every week. Okay. Boom. Week 4. 4 weeks with reps. You've added 19 pounds to your bench press, about 5 pounds. 5 pounds a workout. So you just had the golden sombrero. You had 4 workouts in a row where you added a rep to your bench press. 4 workouts in a row. All right. So if you continue that for an entire year, you just added about 20 pounds to your bench in a month. You continue that over an entire year, you would add 240 pounds to your bench in a year. You would go from 135 or 138 to like 278 on your bench, right? Who does that? Or 378 on bench? Who goes from weak tit to legend in a year? No one. Maybe one freak on planet Earth was able to do that. No one does that. Hitting a repetition every week is not reality. It's not real life. Lifting doesn't work like that. And you compound the issue with the fact that the demands of every exercise and the progression rate of every exercise are different. Okay, so you start out as weak tit McJones and you have a 135-pound bench. We're not being disrespectful. And you only had a rep every other workout. You had 120 pounds to your bench in a year. So you go from 135 to 255 in a year. That's still super aggressive. At that level, if you hit a repetition every third week, you would add about 80 pounds to your bench? 85 pounds to your bench over the course of a year. That would be wonderful. That would be amazing progress in a year. You'd be getting close to 225 after a year from 135. Close to it. That's still aggressive. In a year, it's at the top end. I mean, man, I wish everybody could get it, but very few people can get that. It's more like a rep every 3.5 to 4 weeks. It's usually more like a rep every 4 weeks on the bench press. When you're doing everything right, you're nailing your sleep, you're nailing your bulks, you're nailing your consistency, and you told your girlfriend to get lost because you want to focus on training. You're just in the zone. In the zone, adding 60 pounds to your bench in a year is wonderful, and that's adding a rep every 4 weeks. So in my opinion, what are some reasons I may not be improving? Because you're human. Now, beyond that, you want to make sure you're nailing your bulk because that is extremely important. Nutritional, excuse me, we got some energy drink coming up. Because that's nutritional consistency is so important. Those 20-second in-between sets on bulldozers don't feel like 20. Yeah, they don't. And you just saw me doing BTNs with 15, right? Yeah, they don't. I know it. That's the truth. I completely agree about the side dog getting hit hard on over. Yeah, I mean, that's my main source of overhead stress over the years. I have nothing against side lateral raises, but they have no progression opportunity. They're not an A-tier exercise. Anytime you see an influencer or a YouTube celery or some science-based guy saying side laterals are the best because you can feel your side delt. Yeah, so what? I can feel my chest working on cable crossovers, but they don't have a great progression opportunity. It's non-equatable. Just because you can feel something, maybe a little bit better, doesn't mean it's going to give you the most spectacular growth. It doesn't mean the exercise is bad, but it doesn't mean, right? It doesn't mean that it's necessarily the king of all exercises. I feel like those people who give crappy form checks spend too much time on the machines. You know, I gotta be honest with you guys. There are a lot of coaches and a lot of trainers that don't specialize or even understand form. I'm not a dig. It's just a reality. I do, on any given day, at least 50 form checks, some days 100, every day of my life. Between you guys, Team Massive, Instagram, and my clients. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you that generally I do probably about 500 form checks a week. Squats, deads, Romanians, and every lift you can imagine. Okay, everything. I want to see everything from my clients. 500 form checks a week times 52 weeks times the last 7 years. Wait, is that right? 500 form checks a week. I'll say 500 is reasonable. I could show you with my clients, but between my clients and Team Massive and Instagram, this would be about 70 a day. That's about average. Okay. Even if we back it down to 350 or even 300 times 52 weeks times the last 7 years, I've seen over 109,000. This would be on the low end. Over 109,000 form videos I've analyzed. Not bragging. I'm simply telling you that not a lot of people are form experts. They'll make up arbitrary things or they don't understand form. And that's not a dig. It's just reality. There are a lot of people giving form advice that have no experience with the lift or have never been trained. I'm not going to give somebody advice on explosive push-ups when I have no personal experience beyond a couple sets. Yet in the fitness world, it is the standard where people give form advice and they've never been formally trained. You put a bar on your back and you squat down and you've done that. So somehow that qualifies you to be a form expert. It does not. I've seen so many form videos on squats and deadlifts. I see into the matrix, right? Am I the world's greatest expert? No. But you see things no one else sees because you're used to seeing them. Does that make sense? Big Justin Jones, good day. Thank you for tuning in. David, is there advantage to cheating the incline curls during the arm up? No. Now, when you're doing a curl, you start with your elbow at your side, okay? Elbow at your side. You initiate the curl with your elbow at your side. Then as you rotate up, it's okay for the elbow to rotate up like you're punching yourself in the face to facilitate a biceps contraction. So you start a curl with your elbow at your side, feel that bicep, and then your elbow can rotate up slightly to facilitate a contraction. I call that punching yourself in the face. So that is different than cheating. Cheating is moving the torso to swing it up. Does that make sense? Rico, we need an old school high volume massive iron pumpy style program. Massive volume training. Massive volume training. It's been so long since I looked at massive volume training. I wrote an article way back when, Tiger Fitness, 2018, almost 9 years ago. And I've updated it since then. This exists on Tiger Fitness. I have no affiliation with them. All right, thank you for all your reviews and your cookies. This is an old iteration. I took basically German volume training. And this is kind of a take on this is kind of a take on German volume training. But yeah, I don't think it's kind of the same thing as pumpy. But yeah, I'd be happy to do that. You guys just DM me on the team and I'll come up with something brutal. And somebody will have a heart attack because not every set's pushed to failure. And then they'll call it junk volume, even though you have a progression approach for every exercise. Big Justin Jones. Just did 3 sets of overhead, 777. On the first set, I failed at 8. That's really, really weird. Did you do normal warm-up sets? That's not normal. I'm not saying it's improbable. It's rare. Generally, that happens when your central nervous system isn't awake. But I'd like to know more. What did your warm-up protocol look like? Big Alonzo. How much should you weigh at 6'2" if you have 30 pounds of muscle at 12% body fat? So let's pull out the calculator. Okay, we'll pull out the old device called the calculator. All right, so I'm going to walk you through things. 30 pounds of muscle is pretty close to your natural potential. Don't feel like I'm limiting you. 30 to 35 pounds of muscle is going to put you in my range. It's going to put you in Alex's range, Basement Bodybuilding's range, Bald Omni-Man's range. All right. So I have a lean body mass of about 178. If I had no fat at 5'10", that's what I would weigh. So at 6'2", you'd be about the same. Okay, so for every for every inch of height, you're going to add about 5 pounds of bone and blood and skin and stuff, right? To act like John Madden. For every inch below 5'10", you subtract about 5 pounds. So at 5'10", your lean body mass potential, muscle-wise, max natty, is about 178 to 180. You're 4 inches taller than me, so we're going to add 20 pounds for bone, blood, stuff. You're about 198. So divided by 220 would be 10%. 198 divided by 225 would be 12%. So about 225 pounds. Fat leg. Love the name. What is most common question you get about training? I don't think there's one specific question I get the most. I get a lot of the same questions over and over again, like rest in between sets, what split is best, what exercise, is this exercise better than this? Like two comparable exercises. Hack squats better, leg presses. The answer is they're comparable, do both. So I think I get a lot of the main questions over and over again. How do I recomp? You don't. You don't. It's fairy tale world. Mostly that sort of stuff. Can RDLs be done heavy after doing squats? Yeah, absolutely. That's not unusual. I used to do good mornings right after squats because you would lighten the weight. A squat is going to be heavier than a good morning. So basically you're taking a step down. And it's going to, like, if you're doing squats with 400, 500 pounds and you step down your good mornings to 275 or 225, it's going to feel so light. It's going to feel like a joy to perform the exercise. You can absolutely do it. You still need to do a warm-up set to get in the groove and get that feeler on. Big Matt. Just want to drop in and say that the back squat machine is highly underrated. I love it. Absolutely. Leverage machine. Is it normal to lose an inch on arms while losing? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a lot of fat you just discarded. That's good. That's good arm size you lost. That's the flubulard. Yeah, absolutely. Big Steve, just in time for my gym session. Get after it. Love watching you in my home gym. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for confirming that you will put out an upper posterior full body. Yeah, man. Thanks for reminding me. I want to get on that this week. That's on my to-do list. Harut. Klein, do you think certain intensity techniques work better with certain splits? That's a very good question. Wow. I've never been asked this question. That's a golden question. You have rest pause. You have like drop sets. You have pre-fatigue, post-fatigue, all that kind of intensity work. I don't think I'd like to do it on full body. Full body is like straightforward. like bread and butter, meat and potatoes, a lot of stuff in the same workout, a lot of hard work. You could, I have put some rest pause stuff in there as options. You could, but on a scale, that would be my least favorite thing to do, intensity techniques on a full body, because your plate's already full to begin with. Upper posterior, the posterior days can get rather brutal. So over intensifying those, you have to be careful. I mean, you can do rest pause, seated cable rows, and lat pull downs. Towards the end of your workout, you're pretty much okay. I think they work best with body part splits because you're really focused on one area and really giving it the old soul-crushing destruction. Batiza, do you prefer full body or AB split for someone who can only train 3 days a week? Usually AB split, upper posterior, torso, limbs, every other day. Full body just takes too long, so I prefer an AB type of split program. But nothing's magic. You guys do you, right? How realistic is it to hit 225 on bench using, you mean moving up from 5 sets of 5 to 225? Very realistic. That's a brutal program. And you have to give it patience and love, but yeah. Absolutely. Can you name isolations with the most progression opportunity? Good question. Pecky Decky, I think, comes to mind because I think the Pecky Decky in most cases, and every machine is going to be a little bit different, right? But I think you have a good progression opportunity on most Pecky Deckies, pec decks. For chest, what else? Dumbbell flies are okay. Barrel presses are a compound movement, but they're kind of a tweener exercise. Flies, I think you have a moderate progression opportunity as long as you stay strict. Cable crossovers, they can be difficult depending on the machine. The cable crossover station that I used at Tiger Fitness, going from 20 to 30 would make the reps drop from 15 to 5. It was impossible. Just really weird leverages. Isolation. Arm exercises generally are pretty good. Curly whirlies. The seated triceps press down station. I have one in my gym. Nothing's a true isolation, so there's a scale, right? Because you can't, the very act of holding a weight or bracing your core or something is going to involve other muscle groups. So there is a scale on isolations. I want to make sure I specify that. The seated press down station, I can do a ton of weight, really good progression opportunity. I think a lot of the triceps work does. Leg extensions, leg curls, pretty decent. Glute ham back extension station, pretty good. What are we missing? Side laterals, I love them. I do them. I've done them every workout, every dot workout forever. They don't have much of a progression opportunity, okay? Because you're not going to get to 60s or 70s or 80s unless you're doing a lot of cheating. So if you guys have any additions to this list that you'd like to throw in there, just mention them and I'll toss them out in the comments. Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate the tip. And thank you, Big Paul. I appreciate the tip. Thank you guys so much. If anybody wants to tip me a winning lottery ticket tonight, like a couple $1 million, go right ahead. I won't hold that against you. With leg press, RDL, leg extension, and ham curls be good accessories to improve squat. Strength builds strength. Okay. So what does this mean? People ask me, like, does Pendley row help build your deadlift? Does traps help build your deadlift? Do flies help build your bench? Strength builds strength. Okay. So we don't want to put things in a vacuum. But what we want to do when we look at exercise selection is look at a good quality grouping with a reasonable progression opportunity. So if you have a quality exercise variety for each area, that's when you get into the strength build strength. Can we quantify and say leg press adds X to squats? No, we can't. That's way out of our realm. Leg extensions add X to squats. No, we can't. But we do know from common sense that if we have a quality selection of exercises, that strength will build strength. Strength will facilitate strength. Now let's look at the extreme end of the spectrum. Let's say you bench press, but your assistant exercises are pec deck and dumbbell flies and cable crossover. Okay, some of them have a little bit of progression opportunity, but they're all more on the foo-foo end of the scale. That's not insulting to Mr. Pecky Decky. But if you improve that a little bit, you had like a dumbbell bench or an incline dumbbell bench or dips or machine chest press, you would increase the overall intensity, and it would very likely increase the strength potential. Does that make sense? If lateral raises have barely any progression opportunity, is it worth doing? So you have your A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier exercises, and laterals are a D tier. Sorry to burst your bubble. For your D tier, after you've done the stuff, like the dumbbell overheads, the barbell overheads, the machine overheads, maybe upright rows, maybe high pulls, you can absolutely throw whatever you want in last as kind of a burner, a finisher, a rest pause. Absolutely. Because we're looking at overall cumulative stress placed on the muscle. The muscle only knows the stress you placed on it. So you just absolutely crushed it today in a bro split, or this week in an upper lower, or this week in a full body, and you want to do some icing on the cake, no harm. Okay. If you just want to do 4 brutal exercises and never do any side lateral raises or cable crossovers, that's fine as well. We don't have to stick with convention. Is strict form bad? There's no way you can generalize this. Strict form on curls facilitates focus, but you can also add in a couple cheat reps at the end when you are fatigued. But this is all going to depend on the individual exercise. If you want to give me, if any of you ever want to give me a YouTube link in the comments and have me look at your form live here, or a link and have me look at your workout here, I would be willing to, but this is going to come down to an exercise by exercise basis. What are your thoughts on RDLs? Yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it. I think if you get too deep on an RDL, you're going to see some lower back stress potentially and some cardiovascular fatigue. So I think that's a good rep range to work in. Personally, I wouldn't go above 10. Some people can do 12. Do you think the guys pushing biomechanics too much causing more harm? Yeah, I think in general, people that push granularity in lifting tend to create a lot of confusion, whatever avenue of the granularity. Lifting is not a narrow lane, okay? Lifting is not fragile. It does not require a narrow lane. There are many, many ways to do it as long as hard training is in the mix. So many exercises, so many intensity techniques. And a lot of this biomechanics stuff It's just some guy sitting around doing mental masturbation, the biomechanical angle and the test showed that there's more stress at this angle. Who gives a fuckity fuck, right? Like, you are dumb enough that you have to rely on somebody to tell you what angle is impacting you. If you get under a bench press and you get under a dumbbell incline bench press on day one, and you do dips and then you do pecky decky, you got 4 exercises, whatever your 4 exercises are. If you train consistently using progressive overload and nailing your bulks for 5 years, just using those 4 exercises, bench, incline, dips, and pecky decky, and you get strong and you do all this stuff, you're going to wake up in 5 years massive in that area. You don't need to worry about biomechanics. You have a good selection of exercises that are classic. You've progressed. You've got a lot stronger. The body will respond. We are taking a shotgun approach, which is a reasonable approach, a bigger picture approach, which allows you to paint however you want to paint. The granularity guys see things like this, right? And they can't see outside of what's going on. So they'll look at a leaf on a tree rather than the forest. Does that benefit anybody? Well, if you want to choose, say, an exercise that one of them is touting and it has a good progression opportunity, that's fine. But you still need all the other things. That's just one leaf on a tree or one tree in a forest. Does that make sense? So I've seen these guys over the years. This is a reality, and you guys can do with this what you want. I've seen these guys attack every decent exercise over the years. Every decent exercise. I could go down the list. We could make a list. We could do searching. You guys could search, and we could put together a compendium of every exercise that sucks according to these people. And lunges would suck, and leg extensions would suck, and leg press would suck because it hits your stress to your lower back, and squats would suck because it's hard to get form, and hack squats aren't as good as leg presses according to someone's biomechanical. Everybody is different. Your biomechanics, your limb links and leverages, how taxing one lift leaves you, maybe based off those limb links or leverages, or just for whatever arbitrary reason. We have to be willing to not be idiots and understand the big picture, the forest. So anybody that comes on YouTube or social media and tries to preach this ultra degree of granularity, they induce fear. What these guys should be teaching is the bigger picture. Okay, maybe this lift looks on paper more biomechanically sound, but what we know from the history of lifting is this: if you have a good selection of exercises, it doesn't matter. A biomechanical angle is not the holy grail. We already know what the holy grail is. Fear content closes doors for you. Massive iron is the opposite. We're trying to open doors for you. I'm trying to turn you into an artiste, right? Somebody that can see the bigger picture, can help others see the bigger picture, that doesn't walk around in fear that the body's so fragile. You take 4 solid exercises for any major body part, and you train them hard over the course of 5 to 10 years, you're going to get huge. I'm going to swear, doesn't fucking matter what the selection of exercises is. You could have Dickwad Jones over here doing squats and leg extensions and lunges, okay? And you could have somebody on the other side of them. He's doing squats, leg presses, leg extensions, and lunges. This guy's doing pendulum squats and leg press and leg extensions. Completely different exercises. You take both of them, and they beat the living crap out of progression, and nail their bulks, and over 5-10 years, they're both going to have big quads. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? My heels are lifting on the squat. The reason why is your knees are inside of the angle of your feet. Standing on plates is probably not going to fix that. What happens is you have the angle of your feet, natural. When your knees buckle in when you squat, your ankles roll in and lift up. I guarantee, Joshua, you give me a video, this is what's happening. Your kneecap has to end up over your foot on a squat. Okay? Here's your feet. When your knees buckle in as you descend, even just slightly, you roll your ankles like this, and your heels will lift and turn in. All right, guys, last question. If you have any questions, get them in now. This is last call. If I may ask, if I work out regularly, how long would it take for me to a long time? 5 years minimum if you're lucky. More like 7 years. You'd have to run right out of the gate doing everything perfectly and adhere. I got clients that really make a lot of progress, like Harut, who just asked this question. I have clients that make really good progress in 2 to 3 years, but they're still at like the 85 to 90. So they still need a couple of years. These guys are like the exceptions. They have everything nailed to a T, to a perfect T. If you can nail everything to a perfect T, you're going to see a lot of good results in 3 years. And then 5 years is kind of the cap. Let's see. Oops, we got some more questions here. They weren't showing up. And they just propagated. Sorry. When I hit my rep target of 12 on rest pause laterals and go up from yeah, that's a little bit bad. I'd probably push the rep target to 15. We might have to stop doing rest pause. If you get it up to 15 and you don't have 22.5 pound dumbbells and they're dropping probably below 10, we're probably in a bad way. Yeah, so I don't worry, like on a regular set, if you're doing straight sets and you move up in weight and you drop to a 10-10-5, that's fine. That's reasonable. That's a conventional rep range. Will, thanks for the videos. Helped a lot. Thank you. What other rear delt exercises are there for building rear delt mass while having face pulls and reverse pecky deckies? Dumbbell swings, like you kind of lean forward, chest supported on a bench, and you push your elbows back, kind of swinging. And if you do this, you can feel your rear delts working. A behind the back shrug where you pull it up over your booty, you can feel the rear delt working. And bent over flies as well are some good exercises. Isn't the relative amount of weight you can add to an exercise more important than the absolute? For example, going from 10 to 30. Yeah, I mean, you're trying to boil things down to a math equation. No, the answer is no. It doesn't work like that, right? The muscle only knows stress. And, while the percentage is higher, it's not a math equation. There's overall also, when you have barbell press, dumbbell press, machine shoulder press, the overall impact is much greater. The overall stress and mechanical tension, mechanical stress is much greater. So no, it's not a math formula, not at all. Looking massive in iron. Thank you, sir. Thanks for tuning in. When do you know to stop a set of rows? When you feel them slow. Like on a row, seated cable row, dumbbell row, you should be able to have what I call focused power. Focused power, not, English cheaty. Focused power. Focused power. Focused power. And then you're in the middle of that and you go, oh, and then you kind of dipping your head down because you can't get the rep in. When you see a speed increase and a loss, or speed decrease, that's when. Now, can you do a couple cheat reps at that point? If you're really focused on your back, you can, but I don't count those reps. You are correct. Is squatting in running shoes a bad thing? I used to be really particular about the shoe that I squatted and deadlifted in. I would always use a flat sole Chuck. And then over the years, one could say my bucket of fucks became emptied, right? So I would just squat and deadlift in whatever. I don't really notice the difference. You might notice the difference if you do change your shoe, right? But I think if you have really good form on squat and deadlift and you're not trying to set a world record, as long as it feels good, you're good to go. If I'm bulking at 3,500 and eventually I stop gaining weight, do I just maintain with my lower body fat lower over time? No, you need to. That's the Hogwarts school of main gaining. Like somehow I'm going to stay at the same body weight and I'm going to lose fat and gain muscle and my weight is staying the same. What you're doing, what people do here is they stay tethered to a scale number. If you ask any fitness professional, what are they going to say? Don't worry about the scale number, worry about how you look. So you get these folks on the internet that'll try to stay at the same scale number. I'm going to maintain, plantain, do all that stuff, right? And they're obsessed with a scale number. I'm not saying you are, Ian. Well, like I'm going to stay at this number. I'm going to maintain, plantain, right? And then they expect I'm going to equally but oppositely gain 1 pound of muscle and lose 1 pound of fat. And that's what's occurring in their brain. And that's not reality. That's nonsense. No, you need to bulk. You need to bump your calories up. Let's get that muscle going. 200 calories, let's roll. Caleb, hey, Steve, my body leverages make it hard to get effective quad stimulus. Not unusual. Not unusual at all. Your quads are probably still getting stimulated. You need to know that. When I squat, my hamstrings get sore, but my quads do not get sore. But that doesn't mean my quads aren't getting stimulated. So do you have to do squats? No. Could it be that your form is potentially not great? Possibly. So you have to decide whether you want to go through the process of working on your form, or if you just want to say, forget about it, I'm going to do some leg exercises where I can feel my quads today. One of the big problems with squats and deadlifts is that learning proper form can take a long time. On the internet, everyone's just like, get under the bar, squat, everything's magical. It doesn't work like that in real life. I can tell you, as somebody that coaches for a living, squats and deadlifts have a learning curve, and it can be pretty dramatic and time intensive for many, many people. So that's something you have to decide. Thank you. I hope you know you're the most helpful voice in the space by a country mile. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. Is 2 arm days unnecessary if arms are lacking, like an upper lower arms by 2? I think you're going to see about 70 to 75 to 80% of your arm growth from the compounds, from pressing, from rowing. So we don't want to go overboard. What I do in the massive iron world is we will do like an upper lower where we do a little bit of arm work, and then we add in a junk day. One junk day or one additional arm day is going to be fine, in my opinion. All right, guys, that's it. We're about 2 hours in. I appreciate all the really good conversations today, really good information. I appreciate each and every one of you. I coach for a living, and I want to work with you. Specifically, I want to work with you. Now, coaching after the first month is only $89.40 a month. $89.40. I want you to go out. I want you to disconnect your cable TV. I want you to disconnect your Hulu. I want you to throw all your supplements in the trash and stop spending money on supplements. I want you to get rid of all your micropayments and sign up for coaching, and let's get some fucking work done in 2025. I injured my elbow and got tennis elbow. That's not an injury. Okay, that's an overuse injury. So something, I don't know, I'm trying to connect the dots here. Tennis elbow is an overuse injury from overworking your grip, okay? You might not have that. You might, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. You might have some other type of injury. I'm trying to build muscle. Do you use grip support? Okay. The first thing I would say is use grip support. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have a couple weeks left in the year. And I just want to encourage you guys to keep going strong. Start thinking about your goals for 2025. Come back next week at 11. Come loaded with your questions. Come loaded with your form videos. And we are out of here.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.